So, brother, let me ask you this. If today was your version of an Olympic final, would you show up like a pro or would you just hope for the best? Because here's a harsh truth. Life is the big event, and most men are playing it like amateurs. So, brother, it's good to be back here on the mic for another week of the Rising Kings podcast. And today I'm really diving into this notion of the big event. And so there's three things I'm going to take you through in today's episode. Firstly is I want to help you see, man, that your day-to-day life is the big event, just like an Olympian's gold medal race. I'm also going to share with you the two things pros do that amateurs don't, and how they, since implementing this in my life, it completely changed everything for me. And then how to actually operate like a pro in your everyday life. Because you see, man, for me, and I'm going back 5 to 10 years ago, dude, I felt like my life just wasn't at the level it could have been. Yeah, I was kind of struggling. I was pretty checked out from Chosen One. I was showing up as a dad, but I just wasn't really connected. I was pretty frustrated a lot of the time. And I just wasn't showing up as the husband and the father, and also just in business, just the man I could have been. And what I came to realize, as I think back on this, what I came to realize is that my life is this big event, and how I choose to play it changes everything. And so when I talk about the big event, it's like every day, once I looked at it like this, every day is like my Olympics, or it's like my grand final. And then when I go back and I think about how I was playing, dude, I was playing like an amateur. And I was wondering why I was getting these amateur results. But since shifting, right, starting to operate like a pro, everything started to really amplify in terms of my connection with Chosen One, the way I show up for my kids, all the different things that I'm doing in my life, even physically in how I'm operating at the moment. And there's two really distinct things that stand out that is different between a pro and an amateur when it comes to how they continually win. And so the first thing that pros do that amateurs don't is that they actually prime themselves for their big event. And I thought I'd use a really quick example here. So if you think about Michael Phelps, yeah? This guy's one of the most decorated Olympians of all time. I looked up some of his stats, 28 medals. He's had 23 gold medals. He's had 39 world records. And look, I'm not talking about his state of play post the Olympics. That's a conversation for another time. I'm talking about when he was in the game, right? And he didn't just get all these because of talent alone. As I researched this guy, really to understand what made this guy different. It was like his daily routine. He was so consistent compared to anyone else. I'm talking, there was 4 years where it was 7 days a week. There wasn't a day off in terms of his discipline, the way he ate, the way he trained every single day, right? And the other big thing that I really loved about what Michael Phelps does and did and what pros do is this notion of every single morning, they're visualizing the game, they're visualizing the sport, they're visualizing every single thing and how it's going to happen, for Phelps before he even got in the water. And that just ensured that he operated at his best. And this is what we call priming, yeah? Priming yourself every single day. And so for me, priming is the morning power routine. It's how do you set yourself up for the big game, life, to be in the best possible mental, physical, emotional state you can be to take on the day. And that's where I think a morning power routine really comes into play. All the pros that I've looked into have this way of getting into state before they play their best game, before they jump into the big event that they're going for. Our big event is life. And so we need to think, how do we get into this specific state every single morning? And then the second thing that I noticed pros do that the amateurs don't is in terms of how they operate with flow. They actually make the game, the sport, the event. And this could be, I want you thinking here beyond just Olympics and games. I want you thinking about like marriage, kids, fatherhood, business, all these different things. Like the pros make it look easy. The pros make it all look easy. The guys who are crushing it in business, like the top guys, not the ones who claim to be doing well, but they're not. I'm talking about like the top guys in terms of business and the way that they operate in as leaders, etc. They make it look easy. It's the same with when you meet men who are great fathers, and they just make it look easy. I think of like Bluey's dad on the on the cartoon Bluey, and his dad. He just makes fathering look really easy. And there's a couple of things that go into this, and why pros make it look easy is, dude, they have standards, they have discipline. Yeah, they're relentlessly intentional. In what I mean by that is they're really thinking about each of the steps in the game, in the way that they operate, not just winging it. And that's the thing that I see amateurs, and this is where I was before. Dude, I was just winging it. I was just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and I was hoping that something would stick. And then when life isn't going the way I desired it to go, I was frustrated. I was annoyed, like I'm curious, like why is my marriage distant? Why am I frustrated and annoyed with the kids all the time? Why is business just feeling like so hard? And it's because I'm operating like an amateur. I was just winging it. And until I made this switch across to the pro, like nothing was changing. And that's what I hope you get across today. Like it's really two specific steps here. Like the two steps that the pros do that the amateurs don't is they prime and they get in flow. They treat it like a process. They treat it like a journey. And I want you thinking about your life right now. Like, are you operating like an amateur here where it's like, we'll see what happens, man. Like, just let things roll out as they do without, putting any conscious thought into how you're showing up in terms of the big event, your day to day. Versus the pro who primes himself, like gets equipped, puts the best possible use of his time into play in the morning to get primed, and then identifying and looking at how do I create this flow in life. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. That's what I wanted to get across is like, firstly, brother, life is a big event. Like you can't just treat it like a random act of miraculous unfolding that happens. Yes, there's part of it, but you've got to think of it like a pro as well. Like, yes, this is miraculous. How many more of these am I going to get? How many more times am I going to get the opportunity to really show up in my marriage? How many more times am I going to get the opportunity to show up as an amazing father? How many more opportunities am I going to get, man, to like test myself out physically, mentally, and emotionally? And pros, man, they do that. Prime and then get into flow. Like, how do I operate at my best day in and day out? And so I trust this serves, man. I really want you thinking about just life, the big event. And are you playing like a pro or are you playing like an amateur? And so that's it for this week, brothers. Stay strong. Peace. And so, brother, if you want to take this conversation even further, if you want to understand, the intricate details of being a pro, then I highly suggest check out this episode I put together here on how to build unstoppable discipline. Like, this is the key. Everything we've talked about today, like, brings it all together, the standards, the flow, the consistency. So click on the link, check it out. Otherwise, speak to you next week. Stay strong.